my name's Gillian Bettle. I'm here to tell you about my menopause hell nightmare and to tell you that there is help out there. You're not going mad, which I felt like that's how you actually feel. Well, I'll tell you about how I felt, and maybe you will relate to what I'm talking about. And just so you know, you're not on your own, because it's not nice. It's horrible. Mine started when I was in work. I started to notice that I'd be doing jobs, tasks that I would normally do, think nothing of them, but I'd continuously doubt if I'd done stuff right and keep on double checking things when I knew they were right in the first place. And I found myself getting hot and bothered, with hot flushes, and I'd found myself quite emotional, and I'd be going home thinking, now from work, did I do that right? Did I do this right? I knew I had, but I was starting to feel anxious. Even before the day had started, I'd be thinking, what if I forget to do this, forget to do that? And I've always been a competent person, but it just sometimes I'll be in work and I just feel like crying. One day I was woke up like you usually do in bed, and now bear in mind I'm a really outgoing person. I woke up and I just couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I physically could move my body, but if you like, I just didn't want to move, and I found myself very emotional, just wanting to cry. It was horrible. I'd stay in bed and all I can explain is you feel worthless, and it's just horrible. And it was I just felt like there was no point to everything. You can say felt very depressed. And as time was going on, I found this wasn't getting any better. I found that I was feeling worse and worse. Worthless, useless, and as if there's what's the point to me? It just felt so bad, but it was continually. Now, I'm a person that likes to cook and stuff like that. Didn't want to cook, didn't want to do anything, and it was I'd have friends phoning me up and I'd ignore the calls, or they'd be saying, oh, where have you been today? What have you done? Checking up on me, because they knew how down I felt, and I'd pretend that I'd done stuff just so they'd leave me alone. And I got to the stage, I don't know like yourselves, it's I like to look smart like all women do, but no, I didn't even want to get washed, dressed. I just felt like there was no point. I just can't explain. But the anxiety was horrendous. All I can explain it to you is, say for an example, you get a bill or a letter to yourself coming through the door. You'd open it up and normally, you deal with it straight away. It's not a problem. It's a everyday thing, what you normally get. But it's with my anxiety, I couldn't complete normal tasks, everyday tasks. It was getting this letter, having to sort something out. I couldn't think. I was getting forgetful. It was making me very, very anxious. On my birthday, my friends, first of all, my sister took me out for my breakfast, which I didn't want to go to. Not in the slightest. I didn't want to leave my room, not at all. But I went, and it was horrible. I just wanted to cry. I just felt so anxious, and I just didn't know where all this was coming from. Later that day, my friends had arranged to take me out in the night time, and I couldn't go. Just could not go. And all I did on my birthday was cry and cry. I couldn't face anybody. I felt so down. I just felt, what is the point to me? Honestly, it was like I got to like a very dark place in how I felt. I then took the steps to make an appointment with the doctors, which I did, and I went in, and it's like I'm such a confident person, but this same confident person, I had to take my friend to the doctors with me because I couldn't seem to speak for myself. I was sitting there I couldn't make eye contact with people. I was trying to explain to the doctor how I was feeling, and my friend had to actually speak for me because I just started crying. It's just a nightmare. I just felt horrible. The doctor sent me for blood tests. He said, we're going to put you on an antidepressant. And I said to him, but I'm not a depressive person. I just don't know what's the matter with me. And he said, we need to get your serotonin levels higher. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to have any tablets because I'm not a depressive normally person, but I just couldn't deal with how I was feeling. It's like you become a prisoner within your own self. That's all I can explain. It's like your bedroom, which was once a lovely, tranquil place, then becomes your prison. So I went back to the doctors and he said, oh, we've got the results of your blood test. He said, you're in starting like the menopause or in it. One of your ovaries or whatever he said should be like 16 and yours is 90, and another one should be 20, and for example yours is 60. And I said, how am I supposed to deal with that? And he said, it's one of them things you've just got to try and get on with it. Went home, carried on with the course of antidepressants that he did give me, still finding myself not being able to get out of bed. I felt moderately better, still didn't feel like myself. After a bit of taking them, it's like as if I took a downward spiral again, and it was just horrible. Just couldn't get out of bed, didn't care about anything whatsoever, didn't care about my personal hygiene, didn't want to get washed, didn't want to see anybody. He gave me another medication as well as the antidepressant for when the anxiety got to the stage that it was getting so bad. It was like debilitating, the anxiety. And I wasn't sleeping because I was worrying all night about the next day, waking up the next day, my friends quizzing me, seeing what I was doing. He then gave me lorazepam, which if you're feeling really anxious, it nips it in the bud and you start feeling more positive. I didn't want to go out anywhere, and it's like my friends were saying to me, just go up to the shops gig. You've done it for years. Just put one foot in front of the other and off you go. And I said, I wish I could, but I just couldn't do it. So with a lot of like help, which my boyfriend's mum was being very good, very supportive, along with all my friends who were supportive, I just couldn't face them. She was very, very good, and she'd go, right, she never forced me to do anything. Right, we'll go up to the village. So I'd have to take a lorazepam because I'd be too anxious, much too anxious. So that'd calm me down slightly. But it was like, at the time, I'm going back a little bit, I'd found I'd be on the antidepressant, then a tablet to calm me down, the lorazepam, and I was having like 2 a day, because one was later on, so it calmed my thoughts when I was trying to go to sleep. So this pattern continued. I was so uncomfortable when I was out. I just didn't want to be there. And being in a social setting was so hard. The thought of bumping into anybody I know was terrible. Seeing the doctor every 2 weeks, making sure, like, how are you? How are you doing? I'm 46 years of age, and I still had to take people with me to talk for me at the doctor's, because I just couldn't do it. It was just like, it just such a nightmare, horrible. I thought, this isn't right. With this medication, if I am depressed and that's what I'm suffering from, well, surely I'd be feeling better now. But I just wasn't. I wasn't feeling any better. It had took an edge off something, but I still wasn't feeling any better. Like myself, I still didn't want to socialise or anything like that. So my boyfriend's mum had done some research, and she discovered that the Women's Hospital in Liverpool done a specialised menopause clinic. She went, I think you need to get this checked out. And I was like, oh, but I should get better. She went, no, you need to get this. You can't suffer like this anymore. I went back to the doctors and asked him, could you refer me to this clinic? Straight away, he referred me to the Women's Specialised Menopause Clinic. And when I went there, they took some blood tests from me. I had to see a consultant a little bit after that, say 2 weeks after that. I had the appointment with the consultant, and they then had all the blood test results. And I said to her, I said, oh, what were the results? She said, your hormones level should be 10. Yours are 120. My hormones were off the Richter scale, and it was the menopause that was making me feel the way like I was feeling. She then prescribed me HRT. So I went on HRT Femi 110 or something, I think it's called. So she put me onto them, and I can tell you, within a couple of days of taking them, I started to feel more like myself, and each day more of my personality was coming back. And I've now nearly been on them nearly 3 weeks, and I virtually feel like now back to my old self. I don't have any of the lorazepam or anything, don't need that. I can go out by myself, and I can do a lot of things on my own now. So ladies, if my story relates to you in any way whatsoever, contact your GP and be referred to the menopause clinic. Honestly, in Liverpool's Women's Hospital, you're not going mad. There is help out there, and honestly, please just do it. Thank you for listening.